Welcome back everyone, Meanpooh here, and today we will take a look at the game Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice. By now, I know you have either seen gameplay or game reviews by the hundreds of people on the internet. That's why over here, we just give you an overview and how it performs with a 1050 Ti paired with an i5 7300. First thing you should notice is that it's from software developer From Software. I always thought the name looked and sounded funny from the days of playing Armored Core on the PlayStation. It was the first thing you saw before the game video. And if you didn't know better, you would have thought that it was a translation mistake, but regardless of the name, From Software has become a big player in the gaming community, putting out great hits like every 3 to 4 years. Games such as the Soul series, Bloodborne, King's Field, and of course, the game I mentioned earlier, Armored Core. With the latest game, Sekiro, you're in for something a little different. Though it has similar elements from Dark Souls, such as the menus and campfires, which is called something else entirely, the game's setting, which takes place in a reimagined late 16th century Sengoku period Japan, is the kicker. The story starts off showing you remnants of a battle with only a few persons of interest that are left. The engagement has taken place in a field with a beautiful backdrop consisting of pretty trees with red and orange leaves, some pink. The grass is tall and lookout towers are on fire. The ground is soaked in blood, littered with dead bodies. Soon, there were only 2 combatants left, with General Tamura eating dirt. Later on, a kid is seen scavenging the field and is pretty much taken into custody, adopted, and trained. He receives the name Starving Wolf at the time, then later just Wolf. No first name or last name, just Wolf. If you have seen the movie Conan the Barbarian, this is pretty close to what happens, only you're not a slave. Anyway, you learn some badass skills and become a shinobi. So for those who have played the Sega games such as Revenge of Shinobi or Shadow Dancer, what you saw in those games were just a small part of what a shinobi does. They were skilled in espionage, sabotage, infiltration, assassination, and guerrilla warfare. They were just some badass mofos. And on that note, I would like to recommend Shinobi Heart Underblade. Moving on, you are tasked with protecting the divine heir Kiro with your life. When he is kidnapped, you are tasked again with getting him back any way you can. After sneaking into the enemy encampment and taking out a few guards, you accomplish your goal. As you escape with the divine heir Kiro, you are confronted by Jin Cairo. I think I pronounced that right. It's Genichiro. And you know the I is silent, so it's like Genikiro. I apologize. But anyway, you're confronted by this guy, and the last time he saw you was at your uncle's funeral. And to which I believe he belongs to a rival clan. Now, before I go on, did anybody, if they have played this, check out the scenery? Absolutely beautiful. Did you at least say, wow, I've seen this before, I've been here before? Because I sure did. It was when I was playing Ninja Gaiden. You know, where Ryu's father got cut down by the opposing ninja. Sorry to say, but this is what's going to happen to you. You will try your best, but it's not going to be good enough for you to win. You'll be cut down just like your father. Nah, just joking. That was a Ninja Gaiden reference. But for real, you will lose and be left for dead, and the divine heir Kiro will be kidnapped. Later that night, or could have been a few days, you wake up to the sounds of an old hermit carving a Buddha statue or something like that. You have a new forearm and hand, like the guy in, remember that game Bionic Commando? It's sort of like that. They call it a prosthetic. It's very crude, but it works. You see all kinds of twine wrapped around what looks to be a couple of pieces of bone or wood. The fingers, from what I see, have wires running through them on top, bottom, and wrapped in a cloth. The old man says, "You are not ready for death, and there are 2 other people outside. That was bad, wasn't it? But anyway, the first is a guy that is undying. He would teach you all the basic moves such as attacks, deflects, and any other techniques that you have unlocked. Pretty much just a tutorial just in case you were not paying attention at the beginning of the game. The second is a woman named Emma. She is a doctor and is sent here by her master to help you. By the way, her master, he is unnamed and for his safety will be undisclosed. So after a little talking, you set off on your journey to rescue the divine heir Kuro. Phew, that was a lot. In your travels, you will collect items to put in your inventory to help you. The healing gourd will replenish some health and gets refilled when you rest at the dilapidated temple. Pellets slowly restore your vitality. Fistful of ash is able to be thrown to distract an enemy. And the homeward idol is able to take you back to the old man. This has unlimited uses. As for weapons, they will be centered around your prosthetic hand and they are scattered throughout the land. One weapon that I acquired while playing the game was the shuriken wheel. It essentially lets you shoot ninja stars at the enemy. There's also an axe attachment and many more. There is no armor in the game, but there is an item that you can consume that lets you take less damage. There are over 20 skills that your character can learn that will help you in battle. These can be unlocked by killing enemies and gaining XP. Once the XP bar fills up, you will gain a skill point and will be able to unlock your desired skill. Some unlocks take 2 skill points and some are on a different tree. You will have to decide early on which will help you the most until you get more acquainted with the enemy's fighting style, in which then you can take them out quick and start farming for more XP. Just a note, dying in Sekiro will cause you to lose half your money and half the experience you've earned towards your next skill point. There is nothing dropped to the ground or anything like that, and it's just gone, so play the best that you can. Also look out for the sculptor's idols. They are pretty much checkpoints and allow you to recover health, use skill points, and travel to other idols. The enemies I have fought are very distinct. Some have armor while others have clothing that is camouflaged with long grass. There are some that are giants, some carrying hammers, and some that have firing weapons. There's a great variety and most of the time are not stupid. If you kill an enemy and the body is in the path of another, it will stop and start to look around and investigate. When taking out enemies, it's always a good idea to plan your attack. Use the grass as cover and watch the enemy's movements. Take out the single target first, just to narrow them down. If you get into trouble, use your grappling hook and escape quickly. If you do it fast enough, you can chain where you want to go, especially if you can see the attach point. When moving around the map, there's always an alternate way for the most part to approach the situation. Some you will not even expect, so look around all areas and explore if you have time. Wolf, which is your character, has a set of moves such as slicing enemies with your sword, double jumping, wall hugging, hanging from a wall, ducking in grass, which is very useful for stealthily taking out the enemy, and using the grappling hook on your arm. Like I mentioned earlier, you have unlocked skills that you can use as well. One thing I forgot is that you can eavesdrop on the enemy's conversations. You can use this to get a little bit more story and to figure out what they are doing. Music in the game is dynamic and ramps up if there is any action going on. Though I am not from Japan or any country that is close, the audio is very fitting for the time. This is based on my movie watching and being a fan of Shaw Brothers Studio. They produced a lot of movies such as The 5 Deadly Venoms, The 36th Chamber of Shaolin, and The One-Armed Swordsman. Though they were Chinese and the game is set in a Japanese era, the music is pretty close for the time. Mind you, I'm not an expert with these things, so don't kill me if I get something wrong. Locations are very detailed, and when bumping into things such as floor torches or books, they will shift around and fall to the floor and break. Jumping into bamboo will make a grassy sound, and if cut will fall to the side. If there is snow on a branch, landing on it would cause the snow to shake off. I thought that was a nice touch. While the temperature is pretty cold, if you look, you will see the character's breath just flowing in the air. You'll see it. Moving on to performance, Sekiro was very generous with having presets already made for us to use. Game was undervolted using -124 and a speed shift EPP of 140. With that said, we were still reaching the 70s with this game. I'm not saying it's good, but it's way better than the 85C we were getting with others. Looking at the numbers, the temperature is consistent with the CPU and GPU hovering around 72°C. FPS was very good with the usual trait of lowering quality to increase the frame rate. Starting with max, we have 49.5. Moving to high, we got around 55.7. Down to medium and low resulted very close to just 60 FPS, and I believe it's locked there because it would not go any further. Results we got were excellent in my opinion. If you are wanting more FPS, just drop the resolution down to 1600 by 900. Though I don't think it would be necessary if you have a Nitro 5. Over on Metacritic, gamers and critics are liking the game universally, which is always a good sign, though the PlayStation and Xbox versions are scoring higher. Here is a negative review for PC. I guess you can't please everyone. Over on Steam, the majority gave it positive reviews and only has 1,869 negatives out of 13,078. One person complained about the camera, and I can agree with that. Sometimes the camera does get in the way. He also knocked on the timing of counters, which is difficult and varies with each enemy. Wrapping up, you know what? I'm old school, and I don't need no review to tell me if I'm going to like a game or not. I'd rather try it myself and make my own decision. Now, if the game is broken and a lot of people are complaining, then I'll listen. It basically comes down to this. If you were a Souls fan, then you may just like it. If you hated the Souls games or anything like Bloodborne, then most likely you'll hate it. And that's pretty much it. Personally, I think you should try it if you want a little challenge in your game. Enemies are very detailed and bosses provide a decent challenge. There are a lot of hidden items and it's fun to cut people down with your sword. The landscape looks nice and very fitting for the location. If you plan on purchasing, use your noggin and research multiple sources to make sure it's right for you. In closing, if the video helped you, feel free to like and subscribe. If you would like to know the hardware that I am using to play this game, I have it listed in the description box. Thank you very, very, very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Meanpooh, out.